You can be friends with strangers, but you also have to beware. And where to draw the line, this is more your experience, your judgment, who you are, who they are, and so on and so forth. How many in your group? Are you alone? Are you a woman alone? Stuff like that. It's a bit tough to see. Like when I was living in Banff, I was operating a store and I had a laundromat at the back. Now the laundromat was the perfect place for everybody to be there. The local workers were coming there to wash their clothes. The people that were camping were going there to wash their clothes. The people that were just passing through went there to pass their, to wash and stuff like that. And when you wash your clothes and you dry them, it takes you, let's say, 2 hours or 3 hours. Generally, what they would do, they would just sit down, read, talk with others, and then I had a board where a lot of people were putting different kinds of information. And I was reading the board every day because I wanted to, basically do a favor to the clients. I wanted to weed out the bad stuff. And you had a lot of different things, like we are, I'm a girl alone and I want to go camping or climb that mountain. Who wants to come with me? Or we're two guys and we're planning on going camping for 3 days at that location. Now, the thing is that both might be very correct. Both might be, like people that are just there as tourists and they really genuinely want to hang out with other people, or, it's safer or better to go and, dive with someone or climb with someone than doing it alone, obviously. So they want to try to bring somebody along with them. So that's okay. But if I were a girl going with two guys in the wood, I would be really concerned. I would beware. Okay, there's always the issues of rape and the issues of sexual harassment, and if there's any issue, then you're in the middle of nowhere with two guys and nowhere to go. So that's a bit of a problem. The girl that wants to go and climb the mountain, well, that's fine, but there are also thieves among girls. There were some famous cases in Banff where, the girls were literally asking for places to stay, and they were basically casing the house, and then after that just, going back and stealing everything they could. You have all kinds of people. Now we're talking in Canada. I didn't give you the example, in other countries, like especially Jamaica. In Jamaica, I say hi, I say bye to the local. I don't interact much with them, and I try to interact with those at somewhat my level for multiple reasons. And now, that may sound quaint. That may sound like not racist, because I don't mind. I'm not interacting anymore with a white local than a black local, but I'm trying to say that, if I interact with somebody at my level, so somebody like I have people that have businesses here, I have people that have quite a lot of money here, at least then when we do something, we do it together, we both share, they have a reputation here, they're not going to come to my house and steal. If I start interacting with people that I meet, let's say at the gym, in the street, or something like that, I'm going to start being a bit wary of it, especially here in Kingston. It's the third worst place to live in the world. It's like literally white people, like especially foreigners, travel with bodyguards. We have places we're not allowed to travel. I have a security guards at my house that rotates on 24 hours a day. The house is a literal fortress. So in my case, it'd be quite different. I see somebody asking me for directions or something like that, I'm going to stop the car, but I'm always wary because sometimes people try to open your back door, try to get in your car. Right on the hill where I live, there was this guy with his 3 kids, and he said he didn't have any more money for gas, and he asked this lady to bring them to the gas station, him and the kids, and turned out he never had a car. The car was nowhere to be seen. The car he had pointed at was not even his. And basically, he robbed her. Even though he had a 6 years old on the back seat, he literally put a gun on her head, take her money, and he sent the car to the chop shop. So that kind of things, you have to be very careful. And that's why I said who you are and what you are. I mean, I want you to be able to interact with the local, but on a On an expat base, you have time to get to know people, and you have people that know other people, and so on and so forth, and you have time to explore. If you're just passing through, it's a bit more difficult because you won't have time to evaluate if the people are trustworthy or not. And also, if it sounds fishy, think about it. And if it sounds, like too good to be true, also be wary. And personally, like I said, going camping, doing that kind of things where you're going to be alone with stranger, far away from everything, is a bit more, difficult to judge whether or not they're trustworthy or not. Personally, I would avoid that kind of situation, especially if you're a girl. But guys know better, okay? Meet a girl at a bar, bring her to your hotel, and then what? Then she just basically, slip some Rohypnol in your drink, and you wake up the next morning naked with nothing in the hotel room, stolen your passport, your money, and everything. So you have to think about that, and you have to be careful. And that's the thing. If you're traveling in a group, it's less of an issue. But that's it. So befriending local is fine, but be careful. And then the last one I'm going to mention about befriending is also a thing that happened to a friend of mine in Thailand. He basically cruised a woman at the bar. He never assumed for a second. The guy's basically sitting in a bar in Thailand. He just finished dinner. You just want to, experience the life, after dark, if you will. He's in a really reputable bar, no issues. It's not like in a ghetto or anything like that. Girl sits next to him. They start talking. After 2 hours, two guys showed up and say, okay, now you've been talking to my chick for 2 hours, now pay up. And they wanted him to pay $100 US. Because the girl was basically not necessarily a prostitute, but she was more like an escort. And in countries like this, sometimes these things do happen. Macau is also a very typical place where that kind of situation will happen. So you need to be aware that that kind of situation could result into you having put yourself in trouble with somebody that you thought was just a girl that was local. If she's not local, then you can spot much easier. And that's again what I was talking about. Talk with people that you consider more or less at your level. It might sound very rude or bad to say it that way, but unfortunately, that's the world we live in. At least that's what I've experienced in all the countries I've been in, and I've passed 60 now.